What's up, everybody? It's Christopher J. Sick Hands RBN. So, earlier this year, we made a trip out to Sandusky, Ohio, and we managed to check out almost every single arcade in town. There was one big exception to that, though, and that was all the arcades at Cedar Point. Why? Because when we were out there in April, Cedar Point wasn't yet open for the season.
Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
But with 2 new coasters opening this season, plus so many different arcades located throughout the park and hotel, we knew we'd have to get back out there. So my son and I loaded up the car near the end of July and booked it across 4 states to get on out there. Yeah, we drove through West Virginia for all of like 5 minutes. That counts, right? We got into the park during Friday morning's early entry, and it was pretty chill thanks to the clouds and a light drizzle keeping the crowds at bay. We immediately hit a few of our favorite rides. Gatekeeper right near the main entrance was our first stop, and it's still a great ride that makes you feel like you're soaring through the air. We also hit up Millennium Force, the park's legendary Giga Coaster, and that one's always a great time. But the 2 new rides didn't open until the full park did. Siren's Curse is the one you've probably been hearing about a lot lately. It's been getting a ton of clickbait headlines about how it keeps breaking down and leaves riders stranded in the air, which can be terrifying if you're on it while the track is tilting straight towards the ground. Well, we managed to ride it twice, and we didn't get stuck either time. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, the tilting track is a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that's backed up with a very solid ride for the rest of it. That barrel roll after the drop is insane. I also wasn't expecting the onboard audio, which really added to the experience. For me, it's a solid 10 out of 10 coaster. The other new coaster isn't exactly brand new either. For years, it was known as Top Thrill Dragster, one of the world's tallest and fastest coasters. Shortest as well, because it literally just shot you up and over a giant 420-foot hill and hit the brakes immediately after that. Well, Cedar Point put it through years of reimagining and downtime, and after a failed launch last season, it's finally here now as Top Thrill 2. Same huge top hat, but now it's got a spike behind it as well, and it shoots you forwards, then backwards, then forwards again. And it's crazy just how much that adds. We absolutely loved it both times we rode it. I know what you're thinking. Enough about the coasters already. You're an arcade YouTuber. Get to the arcades, come on. Yeah, I agree. After those thrills, we were ready to chill out for a bit and start checking out the arcades on site. I knew of at least 4 different areas to check, with a potential 5th one possible. And we were going to start at the granddaddy of them all, the Coliseum Arcade. This is the largest dedicated arcade in the park, and it used to be home to dozens of classic retro games, pinball machines, and super obscure rarities. Well, over the years, they've done away with just about all of that, and now this arcade is pretty much nothing but redemption games. Oh, and a mini golf course, too, because they got rid of their other one, and I guess they decided this is a good place for it now. Well, with that being said, let's take a walk around and see exactly what they've got in here. Come on in. And that's about it for the Coliseum Arcade. It's funny though, while I was working on this video, I ended up going through my archived photos, and I found some from a trip back in 2016 with my buddy Ryan. And it's crazy to see what used to be in here. Classic arcade games like Gorf, Top Skater, Space Harrier, Zaxxon, Asteroids, Gauntlet, Ms. Pac-Man, Virtual On, the original Pac-Man, Sega's Lost World, and check out this entire row of vintage pinball machines. MTV, they had their Drumscape drumming simulator. There were classic electromechanical shooting machines and vintage baseball pitch and bat games. This arcade wasn't just an arcade, it was a museum. And as you can see in the footage, none of these are here anymore. They got kicked to the curb years ago. It's a shame. It's a rarity when you can find an amusement park that still manages to hang on to its history like that. The second arcade we visited was just a few steps away on the Midway, and it's called the Funway Arcade and Mirror Maze. And if it looks strangely familiar, it's because for a really long time this was the home of Johnny Rockets. Well, the burgers are out and claw machines are in. Let's take a look around. Come on in. Yep, even amusement parks aren't immune to the dreaded clawcades these days. What I find interesting about this is the fact that they're going the route of collect these small plushes and trade them in for bigger prizes. That's not just a quick try it for a minute thing, that's a dedicated time investment. And in a park like this, I feel like there's gotta be a better use of your time. The third arcade is the Midway Games, or more specifically, the new big ticket games section. But wait, Chris, you say, those are just carnival games. That shouldn't count as an arcade. And typically I'd agree with you. But for whatever reason, it appears that Cedar Point decided to get rid of the manually operated games here, as well as all of the manual operators. And they replaced all of the individual stalls with multiple copies of their coin-operated equivalents. Well, card-operated, I guess. You want to wax some moles? Just make sure you have 2 players swipe in and go to town. Popping balloons is a thing of the past. Now just throw balls at vague balloon shapes and balloon bust. The water race doesn't really need anyone to tell you to start aiming for the target anymore. And if you want to make some nets, I guess it doesn't really matter if you're doing it over here or on an NBA hoops cabinet, right? I don't know. To me, this is just a case of a classic amusement park attraction totally losing its charm. And for me, it's a miss. So that's 3 arcades down so far. I know where another one used to be in the park, but I have no idea if it's even still here. And I know there's one more just outside of the park as well. So we hopped on their classic Skyride for a few minutes and relaxed along our way to the back half of the park, admiring the views of coasters like Raptor and Valraven along the way. We got off the Skyride and took a walk through the Frontier Trail. And if this isn't one of the most chill sections in any amusement park I've ever visited, then I don't know what is. It's home to one of my personal favorite attractions, the Barnyard. aka a petting zoo. We said hi to some of the local wildlife: ducks, goats, chickens, cows, alpacas, even camels. Yeah, they're a friendly bunch. Finally, we made it all the way to the northernmost point in Cedar Point, Frontier Town. This is home to some of the wildest rides in the entire park, including the excellent launch coaster, Maverick. We got a couple rides in the back here, along with the Wave Swinger, their Screamin' Swings called Skyhawk, and of course, we couldn't pass up a ride or two on RMC's masterpiece of a hyper-hybrid coaster, Steel Vengeance. This ride is pure insanity, and there's nothing else quite like it on the planet. This Frontier Town section was also home to one more arcade on our list, the Jitney Arcade. However, it wasn't listed on the map, and sure enough, it seems as if they closed it down sometime during the pandemic. And now, the building is just being occupied by the park's first aid station and, of all things, a Build-A-Bear workshop. What's really funny, though? You can still spot some of the old signage along the outside of the building, if you know where to look. And so, with the loss of the Jitney Arcade, that about did it for arcades inside the park. We headed down the opposite side, past Camp Snoopy, back towards Top Thrill and Magnum. We saw about a minute of a random Stray Cats cover band that was performing on the barbecue restaurant's outdoor patio. We got a quick ride-in on the Super Himalaya. But wait, am I forgetting something? I said I visited every arcade at Cedar Point. And you know what? The last one is pretty easy to overlook. It isn't listed at all on any of the park's maps. But if you know how to get there, you can find a few more arcade games to play. The final arcade? It was located inside the park's on-property hotel, Hotel Breakers. To get to Hotel Breakers, you have to leave the park over by Magnum as if you were going to Soak City. I mean, Cedar Point Shores, you know, the water park. Instead of turning left, you turn right and head over to the big building. You can walk in the first entrance you come to and just head through the hotel itself and its many winding hallways. And if you go in the direction of the main lobby and follow the signs, eventually you'll come across the last stop on our list, the Hotel Breakers Arcade. And here we are. Let's check it out. Come on in.
Are you up to the task? Try me out.
Daddy, where's the console?
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Swipe your card to try me out. Turn on all programs, and you can enjoy exciting free games. With a bonus of 1,000 tickets. Wow!
Yeah, and that about does it for the Hotel Breakers Arcade. I was kind of hoping that one of the dance games from the Coliseum Arcade might have made its way over here, since a couple seasons ago they had both Step Maniacs and Pump It Up over there, but it doesn't look like they have any dance games anywhere in the park right now. Unless you count whatever that Froggy Frenzy game was. I'm not. We headed back inside the park to finish off the day, and I forgot just how late the sun stays up in Ohio during the summertime. We were pushing 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it was still super bright out. People were still lining up for Top Thrill 2. So we made our way back down the Midway, past the Skyride, and we couldn't leave the park without getting a ride in on their unique carousel, Cedar Downs. It's one of only 3 racing carousels left in the world. The other 2 are at Rye Playland in New York and at Blackpool Pleasure Beach in the UK. And unlike most other merry-go-rounds, there's no poles or anything to hold on to. You just grab the horse's reins and hang on for dear life. This ride is an underrated gem and always a blast to ride. If you don't get at least 1 lap in on it when you're at Cedar Point, you're doing it wrong. We only had the 1 day in our trip to spend at Cedar Point. We had a few other stops lined up between Cleveland and Pittsburgh to get to over the next few days. And please don't get me wrong, we had a great time while we were at Cedar Point. It's a wonderful place to visit if you love coasters as much as we do. Unfortunately, there's no getting around the fact that the park's arcades are mere shadows of what they used to be. Heck, I didn't even mention the massive Fascination Parlor that used to be here, but left around the turn of the millennium. But at least with this visit, I can now say that we've managed to check out every single arcade in Sandusky, Ohio this year, between our last visit and this one. At least that's what I thought, until we were leaving the park and I passed by Goofy Golf on Milan Road, which I realized we completely missed! Thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel for more arcade tours and walkthroughs. Thanks again, and see you next time.